It's time for another edition of Coach's Corner with women's basketball coach Matilda Mossman. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Coach's Corner with the head coach of TU women's basketball, Matilda Mossman. And then, Coach, after that brutal road trip, we talked about this last week. Hey, you're finally at home, but sometimes it just doesn't work out for you at home.
Yeah, we opened up with Cincinnati, and I knew we were still going to be sluggish on Wednesday. After we got back at midnight Sunday, we had Monday off, and then even Tuesday, we just weren't recovered, and I could tell it shoot around Wednesday it was going to be a problem. And we fought hard against Cincinnati. They typically don't shoot the ball very well, and we defended them pretty well. They didn't shoot a very good percentage. It was a low-scoring game, but we just couldn't score. I think we missed our first 13 threes in the game, missed every three-point attempt in the first half, missed our first one in the second half before we finally hit one. So, everything was just hitting the front of the rim, and that's just a case of no legs. And then we started trying to attack and get in the paint a little bit, get closer, and those shots just wouldn't go down. So it was kind of frustrating that night, just not being able to make shots.
Yeah, and certainly of the two games, Cincinnati and Tulane, the one that you thought you had the best chance to win certainly was the Cincinnati game, right?
Yeah, we felt like that one just got away from us. Cincinnati was picked below us in the preseason poll, and we're playing them at home, and we beat them twice last year. So we really thought that's one we should have had.
Yeah, and it was a 2-point game at the end of one quarter, 2-point game at halftime, 2-point game at the end of three. I mean, They were just barely ahead of you through the whole thing. You would draw even, maybe even take a lead once in a while. And again, one of those games where you had a fourth quarter lead. It wasn't a huge lead, but again, you're right there in the fourth quarter against them.
Yeah, I think what's interesting in that game, I think with 3 minutes and 28 seconds, we scored to put us within 2. Well, then nobody scored the rest of the game. I mean, there was no scoring, not a free throw, not a field goal, nothing, no scoring. So we were getting stops. We just couldn't score ourselves.
Yeah, I was going to say it was 55-53 with, as Coach mentioned, about 3.5 minutes to go. Nobody scores the rest of the way. And you had some opportunities. You even had some really, really good shots that you missed during that period of time. And that's got to be frustrating as a coach when you run your offense and then miss the shot.
Yeah, that's what was most frustrating. You'd go down and you get a stop and everybody's excited, and then you come back down the offensive end and really you get the shot you want. It just doesn't go.
And most of the time, you're going to get a good performance out of Ashley Clark. She had 15.7 rebounds, led you in both of those categories, and she certainly came to play.
She did. I mean, and most of her points were late, though. We struggled to get her going, struggled to get Kelsey going, struggled to get Erica going early in the game. And then, as you mentioned, Ashley, starts attack. Some of her shots start falling late in the game, but just overall, when you've got 5 people on the floor, if somebody's not scoring, somebody else has to step up and be that scorer, and we just couldn't find anybody else around us to get points.
And you attempted 23 three-pointers. Were most of those decent shots, though?
Yeah, I mean, I can think of a couple that, we don't like the ones where you're just receiving from the top and you're not really in a rhythm. We like the ones where we've moved the ball side to side, and now when we reverse it to you, now you've got your legs ready, now you're in a rhythm, and those are really good shots. And out of those 23 three-point attempts, there were maybe 5 that really weren't rhythm shots, but the rest of them were rhythm shots. They just didn't go down.
I was going to say, if you even come close to your average, your normal average, right around 30% on three-pointers, you probably win the game. But you go 3 for 23, and then you have to recover off of that and get ready for a really good Tulane team, right?
Right, and we knew Tulane was going to be really good. They start 2 seniors, and their sophomore 2-guard was on the all-freshman team last year. Leslie Vorpal, their junior point guard, has improved so much from last year, and those kids play with a lot of bounce. They're very fundamental. They've got a good skill set. They're not lightning fast. They don't do anything that just makes you go wow. They're just really, really solid, and they were against us on Saturday. They're just very systematic. They take what you give them. We knew what they were going to be doing. We just couldn't stop them. And then when we go back down on our end, they played that zone the whole night, and we just had trouble attacking it. And we've had trouble attacking zones in the past. And sometimes we were impatient. But the big thing was we just turned it over too many times. I thought when we didn't turn it over and got good shots, we were okay. But especially in the first half, we shot in the 40%, in the first half. But just the turnovers just killed us, and so many live ball turnovers where we would turn it over and they would go score at the other end. And so we have 23 turnovers for the night, and they have 30 points off of our turnovers.
Yeah, and that certainly hurt. Competitive early, though, 17-12 at the end of one quarter, even midway through the second quarter. You were still in fairly decent shape, and then they kind of went on a run in the second portion of that second quarter.
Yeah, I think it was in about the last three and a half minutes in the second quarter. It was a 2-point game. Ashley Clark had just made a layup, and it's a 2-point game, and then they go on a 15-1 run. And a lot of it was us fouling, us turning it over. I think they missed one shot in that series. They were 3 for 4 from the free throw line, and only thing we got out of it was 2 free throw attempts, and we went 1 of 2.
Yeah, and then in the third quarter, when you went cold and only scored 5 points in the third quarter, was pretty much it at that point at the end of 3, huh?
Yeah, and I just didn't think we came out of the locker room, very energized. We didn't have much bounce to us. And then we were trying to play, we weren't getting it done, so we tried to play everybody, give other people opportunities, and obviously they couldn't get it done either.
One of the positives of the Tulane game was Tyjae Scales with 9 points and 10 rebounds. That's a new career high for her. She's not a tremendous scorer inside, and maybe will be eventually for you, but I thought she did some really nice things for you.
Yeah, she did. I mean, we started her. That was her first start that night, and it was mainly to give her that matchup with Chinwe Duru, and we thought she did a great job against Chinwe, and got hers in return. Tyjae is such a good rebounder. She's so strong, and I thought she really battled for us and really went and got rebounds that maybe just weren't her area. And then offensively, she hasn't been a great percentage shooter, but she goes 2 for 2, and she gets herself to the line. And I think in the third quarter, one of our coaches said, hey, why don't we put Tyjae back in the game, see if she can get another point so she can get her double-double. But at that point, Crystal hadn't played very much, and we needed to get her some minutes. And Tyjae will get hers. She'll get that double-double.
So Tulane ends up winning the game 71-47. Difficult week for you, and I know this is something that Coach really can't have an understanding of. Nobody can, of why you do shoot well or why you don't shoot well. And sometimes it doesn't even reflect home and away, does it?
It doesn't. I mean, we played really hard at Memphis and got that win on the road. And then we come back at home against Cincinnati, and we don't make shots. So some of it is, before Christmas when we were here every day, the kids can get in the gym and get shots up and get into a rhythm and get repetition. Well, then you come back after Christmas, you're still in that rhythm. Well, then we go on the road for 7 days. You're not getting extra shots. And we're limited with practice because we're traveling every other day. And so now we're not getting repetition. And we come back on Monday, school starts, everybody has classes. There's really no time for those guys to get in here and get shots. So Tuesday you try to get something done. So we really haven't gotten back into a rhythm of our Wednesday, Saturday schedule where the kids have time that they can schedule to get shots up on their own, and I think that's important for us.
Yeah, I was going to say the kids do carve out their own time, don't they?
They do. I mean, sometimes it's early in the morning, sometimes it's before practice, sometimes after practice. Sometimes kids come back at that evening, after dinner. Maybe they've studied for a while and they just come back later. But it's so important just to have that repetition of just getting shots over and over and over to stay in a rhythm.
The Hurricane this coming week will be on the road in the midweek game at Houston Wednesday and then back home over the weekend. And we'll talk about that coming up next on Coach's Corner.
Our core values form the foundation of the American.
Competitiveness,
passion, character,
They show our true colors on and off the court.
respect,
accountability, chasing greatness,
They lead us.
discipline,
focus,
trust,
They are the essence of our identity.
family, tradition.
We are the American Athletic Conference.
We're back with Matilda Mossman on Coach's Corner, and the week to come now, Coach. On Wednesday, you play at Houston. Now, the Cougars are 0-6, but certainly at home they're very dangerous, aren't they?
Well, I think their record is very deceiving. They've got a lot of new players. This is Coach Huey's second year, And those kids really battle. They really fight and they play hard. And they have been so close. They've got narrow losses. They lost to SMU by 2. They lost to East Carolina by 6 or 7. They've had so many close games. And I know that in their minds, they just need to get over the hump. And so we have to go in and just really match their intensity and be able to, if we get behind, then it's going to be problematic because those kids are going to get all kinds of confidence and say, this is finally the one we're going to get. So we have to go in and we have to trade punches with them at the very beginning.
And maybe this week, as you mentioned before, maybe you do get into a better rhythm a little bit, get a few more shots up once you get back home, and then get ready for the Saturday home game at 2 o'clock against Memphis here at the Rental Center.
Yeah, and I think Memphis, obviously, a game we won on the road, but narrowly. I mean, we had to really fight it out in the end. It's kind of surprising that we're playing Memphis already for the second time, and there's so many teams in the league that we haven't even played once. So, but again, happy to have that home game, and especially after this. It's a 3-day road trip for us to go to Houston. So, we'll miss some classes, but again, like you said, get some shots up, go to Memphis, go to Houston in some kind of a rhythm offensively.
Absolutely. Coach, good luck in Houston, and we'll see you back here Saturday.
Okay, sounds good.
The head coach of the Golden Hurricane, Matilda Mossman, and again, TU on the road in the midweek, but we will see you at the Rental Center at 2 o'clock on Saturday, Tulsa and Memphis. For the coach, I'm Bruce Howard. So long for now.